Keep the change, you filthy animal. For some people, that's just how we say Merry Christmas. And welcome back to the Disney News Channel Christmas special. Around the holidays, there is nothing better than getting together with your loved ones and watching a classic Christmas movie. And what better movie to watch than the legendary Home Alone? It tells the story of Kevin McCallister, played by Macaulay Culkin, who is accidentally left home alone and has to protect his home from two hilariously dumb burglars, Marv and Harry, played by Daniel Stone and Joe Pesci.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
I absolutely love this film. It takes the traditional Christmas messages. I absolutely love this movie. It takes the traditional Christmas messages like family and togetherness and dials the entertainment value up to an 11. Slapstick humor, ridiculous villains, and creative and hilarious traps. The story is packed with clever foreshadowing details that make the whole idea of Kevin being left home alone more believable. Like Kevin's plane ticket accidentally getting thrown out in the chaos of packing, or the nosy neighbor kid messing with the count for the airport shuttle. These little details make the movie feel more cohesive and emotional. Also, notice how Kevin's feelings change when he's remembering all the mean things his family said. It is Uncle Frank, the person who hurt Kevin the most, who changes Kevin's tone from remorseful to excited. That brings me to my next point, and that is, this movie just doesn't really have a lot of action until the last 30 minutes. But action just isn't what this movie is trying to be. And the last 30 minutes are so chaotic, so action-packed, that I feel it makes up for it. Speaking of action, let's talk about the legendary traps Kevin sets for the burglars. Unlike the sequel, where the traps are so unbelievably complicated and dangerous, it takes a much more wholesome and comedic approach. The traps, and the time it takes to clean up from them, are of course over the top, but is also simple enough that a kid would reasonably be able to put some of these things together. Also, I love when Kevin goes sledding down the stairs and out the door. It is a first-person shot. This allows us to go on the adventure with Kevin. Now, before we go to the characters, there are a few more things I want to talk about. First off, the whole thing about Kevin being scared of the basement kinda comes out of nowhere for me, and could have been set up better in the opening where everybody is getting ready to go on vacation. However, I can overlook this because this isn't really a movie about fear. It's more about family and forgiveness. Next, there is something so funny about the Angels with Filthy Souls scene and how they used that movie in such creative and hilarious ways. Finally, one of my favorite scenes is the church scene, where Kevin and Marley have their first interaction. I think we can all agree that Marley being the misunderstood villain and not really the villain Kevin saw him as. However, the scene is done with such warmth and care that it doesn't come off as predictable or shoved in. It's instead one of the most believable and beautiful scenes this movie has.
One, Mr. Grinch.
The opening Home Alone theme song is really good, starting with a more happy and Christmassy sound, and then slowly shifting into something more suspenseful. This perfectly tells us what Home Alone is, a non-traditional Christmas movie. However, as much as I like this score, I do feel we need more themes than just this title score, since they do just keep reusing this same theme just differently throughout the whole film, just with slight variations throughout. I also find it very interesting that they played the Home Alone theme again after Kevin stole a toothbrush and said he was a criminal, to show him at his lowest point. The song Run Run Rudolph is another fun addition and adds a lot of energy to a scene that would have just been the family running through the airport. However, I do feel I need to take some points off, as this is not an original creation and is instead a licensed song. And I thought the score in the church was also very nice and helped set the mood for the big Molly Kevin talk.
You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch.
Let's start by talking about the family dynamic in general, and then we can go into more specific characters. As a whole, I feel like the family is fairly forgettable except for a few standouts. But when I do remember, I really do remember. I feel like the creators did a great job at making the family just unlikable enough so that we side with Kevin, but we can also have empathy for the family in their mission to get home. And as much as this movie focuses on Kevin, I wanted to see a few more scenes of the rest of the family coming to the same conclusion that Kevin does about family and forgiveness. There is this one really nice scene of Kevin talking to a photo of his family, apologizing for how he acted. And I kind of just wish at least the family had a similar scene to that, where they feel bad about how they left things with Kevin. As for individual characters, Uncle Frank and Buzz are some of the funniest ones, and it is a crime that they do not get more screen time. I feel they can come off as a little mean at points, but are so funny that it doesn't really bother me. Next up is Old Man Marley, an all-around forgettable character that doesn't really have that much to do until the very end, when he comes in like a badass to save Kevin. I also wanted to know more about his relationship with his son and what caused them to fall out. The mom, played by the legendary Catherine O'Hara, is another great character and is the only person in the whole family, aside from Kevin, that I actually feel bad for. And lastly, there's Kevin. What I like most about his character is that he acts like a normal kid. And a lot of the best humor comes from Kevin trying to be an adult. This may be a kid actor, but he does an amazing job at selling his lines. Notice when Kevin gets sent upstairs, when he says, "No, I won't," you can hear he doesn't really mean it in his voice.
You really are.
This movie has multiple sequels that were completely unnecessary. Home Alone was such a delightful Christmas movie that didn't need to be a franchise, and no sequel, past or future, will ever be able to match the magic of the original. So that's why Home Alone is one of my favorite Christmas movies. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite Christmas movie is and what you think of Home Alone. But of course, that's all for now, everybody, and stay tuned for more videos coming soon. Please like and subscribe.